I quit Valorant for the game you're seeing in the background, and honestly, I couldn't be happier. I'll get into this later though, because first, I want to talk about why Valorant fell off for me. I feel like this is my actual first time yapping to you guys. Hello, but I hope you enjoyed this chat and leave your opinion by the end of the video. Bear in mind, this is just my perspective. Valorant in and of itself is actually a really good game. Its design is visually pleasing and interesting, the gameplay is almost perfect, and the use of abilities paves the way for very creative play. However, even I can get tired of eating the same delicious cake over and over, which is exactly what Valorant feels like to me. I think a lot of us can agree that while the game was once fun, it has gotten quite stale. I'm speaking from the perspective of a content creator and a competitive player, and I'm going to give you both sides, but I'll start with ranked first. I haven't played ranked in a while. The last time I was truly active was half a year ago when I grinded for Immortal on a pen. But from what I've seen, discussions from this month and even a year ago seem to suggest that the game is still plagued with problems like boosting, toxicity, and smurfing. While I have nothing to say on smurfing because it doesn't bother me that much, I can definitely understand the sentiment against it, especially if you're a casual player. As for toxicity, it definitely made grinding the game all the more unpleasant. Stay with me here. Most acts I've played, I would aim for Immortal and it would be pretty fun, but once I've hit it, I would kinda just taper off and quit playing. Because in my experience, playing in Immortal plus lobbies was like rolling a dice. Your teammates can have no comms, a big ego, or they just straight up run it down. Like, for example, we had a cypher that wouldn't stop flaming our team all game, so much that someone in my chat predicted that he would spiel some egotistical garbage at the end. And lo and behold,
you're welcome for the carry.
Wait, dude, we predicted you would say that.
The fact that high elo players are this predictable is pretty telling about the state of ranked. It was mentally taxing enough for me where no amount of suffering could convince me that grinding for Radiant was worth it. You could call it complacency from reaching Immortal, and honestly you would be right. I have infinite respect for anyone that has the energy and talent to go for Radiant, but I knew that if I did pursue it, it would take a large amount of time and mental effort which I was not willing to spend. In a sense, I feel like there is not much incentive to play ranked. There's the gun buddies, but those have been the same since the start. Content was a decent motivation at first, but there have been tens and thousands of Radiants before. Even if you hit top 500, it would be hard to sustain an audience unless you had a gimmick, but I'll dive deeper into that later. It just feels like an endless treadmill. Once you've hit your goal and you've seen past it, the game itself just doesn't have much depth. Looking at it from a casual standpoint, every other game mode seems to be a warm-up for ranked games. Unrated is like ranked without a badge. Spike Rush and Swift Play are fun in moderation, but are super repetitive. And they had something going with Replication, which is the mode where you had 5 of the same agents versus another 5, but it's just gone. Premier is super good for budding esports players, but for everyone else, it was just sweatier ranked. And hey, all the power to people who do enjoy playing the game for what it is casually, but at least to me, the game gets boring fast because it stays exactly the same. This leads into my next point, which is content creation. Making videos was definitely something that kept me going in Valorant, but it suffers a similar fate to what I described earlier. If the game doesn't evolve, the creators can try and innovate, but as time passes, it's going to get harder and harder. Let's take a look at the types of content that have come out since the game's launch. Montages were pretty cool and fresh in the beginning, with creators like 𝐂𝐿𝐴𝐷 or 𝐹𝐺𝐻𝑡s shooting heads to music. And as time passed, the bar for editing got even more impressive, with editing collectives like 𝐂𝐫𝐞𝐝 Artistry, who made this beautiful piece of art. But montages can only go so far and eventually get old. So what are some transformative ways that people have tried making content? Well, there are the challenge/one-trick creators like Grim that made 𝐂𝐳, 𝐂𝐫𝐞𝐝 that speedruns all the agents, and royalG who is Sheriff only. But how much content about maining an agent or a gun can you watch until it loses its novelty? What are we going to start watching next? Bulldog only, but I can't hit the head and I can only ADS when I'm crisscross applesauce. While I can't speak for every creator here, the Valorant content supply looks exhausted. Just take a look at eggwick'd. Holy fuck! Just take a look at eggwick'd and Valorant Kariyu that do challenges and custom games. eggwick'd is straight up gone, and Valorant Kariyu, I wanted to get the perspectives of other creators who played ranked very often, so I asked around and this is what they had to say. I paraphrased a lot of it, so feel free to pause and read for yourself. But basically, 𝐂𝐫𝐞𝐝 says, Valorant is fine, but maybe a little stale. 𝐼𝐵 says he still finds the game fun, but only with friends, and feels that ranked needs a reset and more incentive to actually try. Schrodinger says Valorant has felt hella stale, and it feels that the game has been exhausted of creative expression. Funny enough, all three of these guys had something to say about the map pool. Here's what 𝐬𝐿𝐼 had to say about content.
So there's just not much to do. It's same old, same old. I can try my best to innovate. As much as I love the game, you can only be new and interesting about the same thing so many times.
And to be fair, I do share their sentiments. I love Valorant and it's made me some awesome memories, but I found myself really struggling to think of any video ideas after finishing my pen series. I think the most comedic thing from all of this is the fact that I had the most fun in Valorant as of recent making a skit of the game which I called an anime. I did it out of desperation because I didn't want to play ranked and I couldn't find any approach to make unique content. So I ended up fucking around in a custom game for an entire day, and to this day, despite being one of my worst performing videos in 5 years, it is the only video where I felt so entertained to edit it for more than 24 hours straight. However, it wouldn't have taken me that long if there was a replay system. I was once confused on why every top comment on Valorant's community posts were complaining about a replay system. And it's not just on YouTube or Reddit, it's also in random games. I played a Spike Rush recently and I interviewed some of my teammates. Do you guys feel like the game has gotten stale?
Yeah, no.
Oh, interesting.
I do.
Oh, okay. It's like mixed answers. Some did find the game very fun still, while others shared the same sentiment as me. But when I asked this, and one more question. What do you guys think the game needs?
Did you work it right?
Yeah. I think everyone agrees with that.
Everyone agrees with that? Got it. Yup. The answers were the same. And now I do understand. It would make creating content a blast. So many different perspectives could be achieved to make straight up movies, and even the comp players can now analyze max if there was a replay system. But there isn't one, and it's been 4 years. Now, my speculation is that Riot has seen how underutilized the replay system is in their most popular game, League of Legends. So they decided that they couldn't allocate the resources to Valorant's system. But even the anime clone I've been playing has a 100-game match history and a full replay system to boot. And their games launched only 1 year ago. So what is Valorant's excuse? And so, I can't stress this enough. I will forever be grateful to Valorant for providing a unique competitive experience that has allowed me to challenge myself. However, I think there is a lot of work to be done on listening to the community's needs, namely the map pool, the replay system, and maybe even attaching phone numbers to accounts to at least reduce smurfing. I've made fond memories over my years of playing Valorant, and it'll always hold a special place in my heart, and I'd love to hear some of your stories in the comments below. But right now, I'm moving my sights onto Strinova for a few reasons. Like Valorant, Strinova is a 5v5 tactical shooter with the main objective of planting the bomb. Some of the characters even share similar abilities to those in Valorant, just slightly tweaked. For example, this character, Nobunaga, can teleport between his towers and his ultimate disables everyone's abilities and reveals them. The menu is also obviously inspired, but that's as far as similarities go. Strinova sets itself apart by having a movement mechanic in all the characters called Stringify, where they can turn into paper. Now, the whole paper thing might seem pretty weird at first, but the mechanic is very intricate. Every character has the ability to do it, and it reduces your hitbox to just a few pixels, making sniping a little more challenging, fighting a little more methodical, and it encourages you to learn a million ways to attack. The game is in third person, so although the Valorant comparisons are understandable, they both play out very differently. And because the game is relatively new, there are still many ways to explore and make content around it. I've been playing the game for 4 months now on the Chinese servers. It's not even released globally yet, but based on how the Western audience received Genshin, I believe that when it comes out in a couple months, it'll have some hype. My last video explains this game in more detail, but if you want to stay updated on this game, do subscribe and stay around because I will be shifting to some Strinova content. Thanks for watching.